From one of the earliest founded anime studios like Toei Animation to the more recently established anime studios like Buck Films, there have been hundreds and hundreds of anime studios who have worked hard to bless the world with the beautiful medium that is anime. Some studios sadly have to face dissolvement because of the tough, unprofitable market that is the anime industry. Firstly, producing anime itself is a challenge in itself. A day worth of effort only to create a draft of a shot worth only a few seconds. Finding animators skilled enough and willing to put up with the tedious working environment alone limits the resources the studios have. But the true challenge of anime production lies in meeting the standards of the anime community, because if it fails to satisfy the hunger of the fans, or in worst case scenario, the anime did not even reach the fans, then the only direction the studio is heading is downwards. However, a few studios, new and old, managed to overcome the challenges of anime production, and not only met but at times surpassed the standards of their fans, not only once, but over and over and over again. So here are, in my opinion, the top 5 S-tier anime studios of the day. First up on the list is MAPPA. I know, MAPPA recently had a meltdown with their production and they had some drama with the reveal of their working conditions, which I do not intend to encourage nor condone. I definitely agree the studio has to do something about it. But putting this whole issue aside, you guys would be lying if you say that you're not happy when your favorite manga is going to be animated by MAPPA. What if we got news that Berserk is going to be reanimated by MAPPA? You're not gonna say, oh no, it's gonna be animated by MAPPA. No, you're not. Everyone would rejoice. Especially when it's an action-heavy series we all know MAPPA is going to cook, because the results are amazing. What do you expect from the studio founded by one of the founders of Studio Madhouse? Taking multiple huge projects in 2023 was a bold move from MAPPA, and it did lead to their ultimate meltdown, but on the other hand, they succeeded. JJK Season 2, Vinland Saga Season 2, and Attack on Titan were one of the three, if not the biggest titles in 2023, and all three of them were animated and produced by MAPPA. And MAPPA still had other anime that year, and Chainsaw Man just shortly before, and every single one of them resulted greatly. Even considering their past works, they have mastered the style of anime exaggeration that everyone loves. This really fluid movement of the body that is an exaggeration of real-life body movement, but in the anime style and not the western cartoon style. And all of this considering MAPPA is a relatively new studio established recently in 2012. New, but still able to reach the quality heights and popularity they did, it's an exceptional feat. We all are aware of their fight scenes with the amazing control of perspectives and fighting choreography, but serious emotional scenes and comedic funny scenes, MAPPA can do them both as well. Other than the fight scenes, one thing that often just leaves me in awe is their background work. In cases when MAPPA chooses to use realistic backgrounds, they always look so amazing. The lighting and composition, the detail are often perfect, allowing the foreground and background to blend well. And let's not forget the banger anime openings and endings they make. They just produced amazing anime. It's hard not to mention MAPPA when talking about one of the best anime studios as of this moment. Go watch any show from MAPPA and majority of the time you're probably gonna be amazed by their animation. Amazing results, they're consistent with it and they inject us with their work pretty frequently, which potentially is also the cause of the terrible working conditions and deadlines. Yes, we cannot overlook the entire drama, so that is a minus point for the studio. But other studios also had their drama, so let's just appreciate their hard work because they are doing justice to their anime adaptation. The next top tier anime studio would be Madhouse. I mentioned this already, but fun fact, the founder of MAPPA, Masao Maruyama, was also one of the founding members of Madhouse, and the fact that Madhouse and MAPPA produce amazing work must show that Masao Maruyama is one of the masterminds behind great anime production. Being one of the older anime studios and is the oldest anime studio on this list, founded in 1972, they have a lot of legendary titles in their records. Perfect Blue, Paprika, Millennium Actress, among other Satoshi Kon works are animated by Madhouse. Old classics like Cardcaptor Sakura and the original Trigun were also animated by Madhouse. Monster, Kaiji, Black Lagoon, Hajime no Ippo, Death Note, Redline, Rainbow, up to more recent works like the 2011 Hunter x Hunter adaptation, One Punch Man, Overlord, No Game No Life, A Place Further Than the Universe, and recently Frieren, and that's only mentioning the more popular titles. With the sheer amount of hits they have produced, you probably entered anime watching a Madhouse title, and there is a good likelihood that your top 10 anime list is filled with shows animated by Madhouse. They produce legends and classics of the past and are still going strong today with works such as Frieren and Loving Yamada-kun at level 999. They are not mainly known for crazy fight scenes, nor insanely fluid movements, nor ultra-realistic backgrounds like Mappa. They can, yes, take a look at One Punch Man, but the main reason is that the people working behind Madhouse, they know how to direct the scenes from an holistic point of view. A fitting background music, sound effect, the use of pauses, the voice acting, the perspectives, and every other element of production, they know how to create the atmosphere that the specific scene needs. And control over these elements are more important than having astonishing animations, which the studio does have as well, but just not in the frequency or intensity of other studios like Mappa. And their catalog is just so diverse. Comedy shows, serious shows, dark shows, lighthearted fun shows, heavy action titles, romance, fantasy, drama, shonen, sport. They got everything, which shows the expertise of the studio in directing different kinds of anime. Of course, all of this won't mean much if they are not consistent with it, but they are. Madhouse might actually be the studio with the best repertoire of anime titles as of today, and it's not a stretch to say that they have somewhat built the foundation of the modern day anime world. KyoAni does not have a huge catalog, Madhouse does. Actually, I'm pretty sure they have a smaller collection of anime titles than even Mappa, because if you consider the anime titles as a whole and not the following seasons, films, and OVAs individually, KyoAni only have a countable amount of titles, and that is despite having been founded many years earlier than Mappa in 1985. The first reason for this is because they had only just begun taking on regular anime production in the early 2000s, but the other reason is the focus on quality. KyoAni is one of the few studios that mainly do their production with in-house employees. That means they strictly limit outsourcing their production and the hiring of animators from outside of the company. Additionally, KyoAni does not seek to compete with other studios, they kinda just do their own thing. They do not focus on having a high output rate like Madhouse, JZ Staff, or A1 Pictures. Actually, you will see that the next two studios here also do not have that high of an output rate, and that might just translate to why their quality is consistently good. KyoAni is well known for their beautiful and elegant animation. It's hard to describe in words and much better seen and felt by watching the anime. They emit a sense of warmth that just feels nice when watching. Just like Madhouse, they're not mainly known for bursts of insane radical fight scenes and movements, but they know how to perfectly direct a scene to create impact. By not focusing on fighting in the industry, they don't have to animate the latest popular titles. Rather, they are able to be more selective with their titles, and they usually choose ones with a bit more focus on the drama. And when a great drama gets directed well, it is sure to leave an impact on the audience, and that is what they have been doing. Although not known for it, KyoAni also has some experience with action scenes which are also pretty nicely animated. They have also produced more fun lighthearted comedy anime. Actually, besides Lugakobo's Yuru Yuri, Kyoto Animation animated the other two titles that popularized the CG-DCT genre, Lucky Star and K-On! And then recently, there's also Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Compared to the previous studios, it is still a pretty narrow scope of genres, but what's important is they do good at what they do. But why KyoAni is one of the best anime studios out there is not only because of the results with their anime. You see, the reason why a lot of people highly respect KyoAni is because they have one of the best work cultures in the anime industry. Their employees have salaries and are trained by the studio. A lot of other studios use a piece rate system for their employees. In anime production, that means they are usually paid by the amount of frames they do. Thus, they also have to focus on delivering output as much as possible to earn more money, leading to potential burnouts. KyoAni employees, on the other hand, do not have to worry about delivering as much as possible because they have salaries, making their income much more stable and allowing them to focus more on animation work, which also consequently leads to a better quality. It also helps that the studio does not have a high output of anime each year, which decreases the chances of overwork. And their workers are also permitted to take maternal leaves. So it is not only because of their unique art style, not only because of their beautiful directed works, but also because Kyoto Animation is a role model within an industry where harsh working conditions are commonplace. Did anyone even doubt, even for a second, that Ufotable won't be on this list? I don't think so. We all know this studio would be mentioned here, and here they are. If KyoAni's collection of anime wasn't small enough, don't worry, we have Ufotable now. The adaptations to the Nasuverse and Demon Slayer. That's literally it. Obviously, I'm kidding. They have animated other stuff, but it is Nasuverse and Demon Slayer that made the anime community take notice of the animating powerhouse that is Ufotable. Like with Kyoto Animation, less output, but the results speak for themselves. The difference between MAPPA and Ufotable is while MAPPA's great animation is attributed to the exploits of their animators, Ufotable's great animation is attributed to money. That's a joke, obviously. We don't know much of their working conditions and if they are rich or not, but nevertheless, the studio does not seem to understand what bad animation means. The main thing that highlights Ufotable animation from its competitors is their ability to blend 2D and 3D animation. It's common practice to use 3D animated work for the background with the 2D foreground because the two animation styles are easily distinguishable from one another and they just don't mix well. Ufotable, however, manages to use both 2D and 3D in the foreground and still make them look good. I'm not gonna say it's perfect, sometimes it is actually, but either ways, definitely one of the best studios in blending the two forms of animation. You can say that Ufotable has a specialty with CG and editing effects. Their background work is exceptional, they provide so much detail in their background giving them an ultra realistic look, but still perfectly blending that with the 2D animated foreground characters. There's also the amazing lighting work, the perfectly done composition and the special effects, all of which complements one another really well. Ufotable often uses strong contrast between the dark background and the flashy lights which just looks extremely cool. And then the fight scenes which I really do not need to talk about. Ufotable specializes in intense, fast-paced action scenes using their special effects and everything. The best fight scene that I have ever watched was from Studio Ufotable. It is in the third Heaven's Feel movie near the end, the fight between Emiyashiro and Rider against Darksaber. That was the best fight scene I've ever seen. In terms of fight scenes, not a lot of studios can rival Ufotable. Every time you watch them, you're always simply left in amazement. And they have been animating at this level, animating their fight scenes alongside their ultra-realistic background for over 10 years. Like with the other studios on this list, they have consistency with their production, mixed up with the actual great animation, which is why they are one of the best studios today. But obviously, being an amazing studio is not all about the fight scenes, just like Kyoto Animation have shown us, and also the final studio on this list. Fun fact, Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, the first breakthrough title of Hayao Miyazaki, was not animated by Studio Ghibli. Hayao Miyazaki wrote the story and directed the film, but he had employed Studio Topcraft to animate the film. Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind was released in 1984 while Studio Ghibli was founded in 1985. But whatever, it's made by Hayao Miyazaki, so we don't make a big deal out of it. Anyways, the magic of Ghibli lies in two things, the stories and the actual animation itself. Like KyoAni, they focus on creating a more impactful narrative. The films produced by Ghibli tend to have a deeper layer of meaning to the fun, children-friendly stories. For example, the environmentalist messages in Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind and How the Wind Rises was inspired by the Japanese engineer Jiro Horikoshi. Yes, you can watch Ghibli and just enjoy the story as it is, but often the audience are able to find connections to a larger real-life context. And the other side to Ghibli's wonders is the animation itself, which might be even more important of a reason as to why Ghibli is one of the best studios out there. Ghibli's art style has this old traditional aesthetic to it, which has been kept throughout the years. One glance at one of their works and you would know instantly simply from the art style that it is a Studio Ghibli film, making the art style itself an iconic trait of the studio just like KyoAni and Ufotable. It might look old, but that does not drive people away from the films. Rather, it is because of this aesthetic that people keep on returning to watch their films. It has a really nice, calming, natural vibe to it, and it is so unique that it's just refreshing every single time we watch them. The movements of their animation are also unbelievably smooth and clean, how the hair flows with the wind, the fluidity with the clothes, the expressive facial gestures, and the general control over the characters' bodies. Not only for the characters though, but the background elements as well. The studio limits the use of CG, so all of this are mainly done through hand-drawn work. Obviously, all of this was maintained with consistency in every single one of their films. I mean, they are the only anime studio who has won a single Oscar. They got another recently with The Boy and the Heron. They have both influence in the national and international market, also both in the past and in the present. Ghibli releases their work at a lower rate than any of the studios mentioned here, while Ufotable releases at least once a year. Sometimes Ghibli does not release a single work for multiple years. Despite that, they have a long history behind them and they have left a huge mark on the industry, hence why Studio Ghibli is one of the best anime studios. MAPPA, Madhouse, KyoAni, Ufotable, and Ghibli. These studios are in my opinion 5 of the best anime studios out there. A lot of it plays into consistency. Other studios might have done 1 or 2 amazing animation sequences here and there, but I would not consider them a top tier studio if they are not consistent with it. Obviously, there are other amazing studios out there who have produced and directed amazing works, but I believe these 5 definitely have to be up there when talking about the best studios. So feel free to comment down other studios that you think should also be considered top tier studios, or maybe if you disagree with my take, then feel free to tell me why they don't deserve to be on this list. Maybe you think some of the studios here are overrated and that some other studios are underrated and should have been mentioned instead? Sure, let me know. Maybe based on your comments, I might even make another video listing down other amazing anime studios, or maybe even a video on underrated anime studios. We shall see. And as usual, don't forget to give the video a like and subscribe for more anime content. I appreciate it, and yeah, thanks for watching.